Morning. This is June 25th, 2017. Amazing. Wow. So some of my dearest friends were here, genuine friends, which is today's discussion. Some of you may have seen the work. These are my very dear old friends from theater, the theater world for 30 plus decades. So we started this little troupe together again called the Flabbergasters. And if you're not following me on Facebook, do so. I have two sites. I've got Reverend Zoe and then I've got Rev Zoe. So I use them both for my work. But anywho, if you want to see them, one of them's at my Vimeo library. They're there to enjoy and be inspired. And if you haven't watched them, watch them. That's why today's Sunday Salutation is going to be a straight shooter, because I've been acting and being crazy for 2 days. So, okay, let's sit. Let's come back to the idea of Sunday Sals as a place to have fellowship, which is interesting because that's actually one of the ideals of friendship is fellowship. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? The Quakers, the Society of Friends. So in the tradition of the Quaker, which just happens to be a sect of Christianity, but it's not unique. The idea of fellowship is in every tradition. Sitting among your fellows, being with your fellows. So let us sit amongst ourselves here. What is your relationship with your fellows? Fellowship. Friendship. So as you sit and enjoy your breath, friend, I just looked it up again. In its purest sense, I can't tell. I actually have an old-fashioned dictionary room. The only thing I have in my real father. Best thing you could ever get is one of those old Websters, like that thick. Friend means to love. So a couple weeks ago, we were talking about the nature of human love, but more in the idea of intimate love, or lovers, or in that kind of. That's more where we were sitting. And I think I made a point of saying we're not talking about friendship. But somebody asked me, a very, very, very dear person on the East Coast asked me to speak of friendship a few weeks ago. So here we are. I think it's interesting, given our community of Facebook and everything, and how many friends you have. It's become rather distorted, as as many things in our realm tend to be. That's just the way it is with humans. We take an idea, a concept, and it's just the nature that it gets corrupted. It's the old cup phone call. Phone starts here, and then you pass the message, or it's a circle, pass the message. By the time it gets to the end, it's a completely different message. That's just the nature of humanity. So friends, there's some statistic too. I pull this shit. I hear this shit somewhere over the years. It's existing somewhere. Rubin, I think you told me this one. In the reality of an adult lifespan, you really only have space for 4 friends, like true friends, right? You have acquaintances. A lot of what people call friends are acquaintances, people who you have a light fellowship with or light communion, but with this notion of friend is very unique. This idea of a friend that you can respect and regard fellow humans, but this idea of a friend. So I've been musing on that in all my different ways. So I've got Hafiz, I've got the Ramayana, I've got the Gita, I've got the Psalms, and I've got Emerson. We'll see if we can weave this mother humper together. Now, just like intimate love, lovers, there is a distorted concept of friend, which I also have to attend to when I'm working and teaching people and counseling them, whatever. Do you remember back a few weeks, Donna and Steve? How could you forget? And Donna, her best friend, calls her up and, is so concerned that she's telling her all about what she saw in the parking lot, because she only is concerned about Donna. Remember I said there's a lot of fodder there, we'll address it, well, we're addressing it. That's not a best friend's, that's not a best friend. A best friend, because that was all loaded. People do shit like that all the time under the guise of loyalty. So we're going to have to deconstruct loyalty. Loyalty is one of the overblown ideas in a friendship. Because loyalty, by its definition, means that you then have to actually lie to yourself to certain or lesser degrees to maintain a relationship. Like you're going to have to put a blind eye up and actually convince yourself of certain things. Does that make sense? How could it not? Because life is not linear that way. It's chaotic. Shit's going to come up that's going to confront you. Are you going to be true to yourself? Or are you going to stay loyal to that friend? So I think loyalty, my crazy wisdom over here, loyalty is way overemphasized. And it creates tension, stress, and will cause people to lie. Also, the idea that you're looking out for somebody else. So back to Donna's best friend. She genuinely thought she was looking out for her best friend, but what she was doing was interfering with the karma of her friend. Now, this goes right in the face of everything you've been told. I have sat with couples for 20 minutes at a time getting angry at me. They're like, but I would want my friend to tell me. I'm like, really? Think about it. See, what it does is it takes the focus on really where the problem is and puts it on something that's not their business. It's another subtle form of triangulation. It's not kind. You're interfering with another person's experience and flow. Now, if Donna found out on her own and she went to her best friend and wanted to discuss it, that would be okay. But she's making the discussion. That's the power of a real friend. They don't interfere. A real friend, from my personal experience and my studies and what I see in people, genuinely loves you and would know not to interfere in your experience. See, real friendship is even more intimate in ways than lovers because they really are closer to be able to live and let live, to really let a person be themselves instead of getting caught up in I see your potential, I'm worried about you, I think you should do this, I think you should stop doing that. Like that's all society stuff, but it's really not, it's the thing on my nut, the nut that I'm always trying to crack with people. To really genuinely let someone be themselves, even if you think it's destructive or harmful. Because you love that person and you see whatever it is they're doing or whatever it is important to them. And you may not even fully understand it, but the willingness to accept it. And if they ask for your assistance, that's another thing. See, that's why so many intimate relationships are not strong. They don't sustain or they can't go deep. It's because the people haven't really understood friendship. Friend, to love, not to command, not to make loyal, not to make a slave, like friend. Here's Hafiz. And Hafiz and Rumi often speak of their teacher as the friend, which they also interface with, call God the friend. And looking at God as your friend is one of the most beautiful ways to have a relationship with God. Very beautiful. Because you don't hide anything from your friend. Because you know you're fiercely accepted. Keeping watch, Hafiz. In the morning when I began to wake, it happened again. That feeling that you, beloved, had stood over me all night, keeping watch. That feeling that as soon as I began to stir, you put your lips on my forehead and lit a holy lamp inside my heart. Friends usually kiss each other on the forehead. Sometimes on the lips. Here's Emerson. I love Emerson. He's he's an individualist like I am, but terribly, he cuts right through it. Every man alone is sincere. At the entrance of a second person, hypocrisy begins. We parry and fend the approach of our fellow man by compliments, by gossip, by amusement, by affairs. And see, unfortunately, that's what a lot of people think friendship is. You commune. Compliments, gossip often is the mortar for what people consider friendship, which is Donna's best friend. But it's not. It's gossip. By amusements, by affairs. Is there something different that's possible? Absolutely. Where you generally interface in a creative way, you generally interface with a mutual experience, but you're not gossiping and you're not talking about the past. So many friendships are based on the past. Now, that doesn't mean you can't have a good ha-ha about the past, but to think that you have to adhere to the same model that it was, say, 20 years ago or something and not let it breathe, or try and force yourself in that same model. I love Emerson. It sounds cynical, but it's not. Okay, so I spoke of friendship, but my friends and I are fishes in our habit, which is like just, right? As for taking Thoreau's arm, I should as soon take the arm of an elm tree. Right, a fellow, Americano at that time. Transpersonal. He's being funny, and he's being honest too. Meaning, with the true friendships, if you're really accepting the person for who they are, you can tease them. But that takes, both people have to be really solid and open and honest about who they are in order to do that level of teasing without it being hateful and taunting. So in friendship, there needs to be space, mutual regard, and respect, which is, if a couple can get that idea first and foremost, then they'll survive some of the other challenges. Now, there are some, in the Indian tradition, and in the Christianity too, the disciples of Jesus, they considered him, even though they called him rabbi, they called him friend. And then after the transfiguration, they're like, oh my God, we were thinking of you as a friend, and you're like God incarnate. But the interesting thing was Maya is that, let me back up. It's hard to sustain when you're in a human body that level of connection to God when you're seeing the full Monty. It's almost, it's like overwhelming. And so what the grace of God, what we're calling the divine or God, comes back into a form that you can actually relate to. So in other words, God would rather you relate to him as a friend than get your mind blown, until you're ready. So there's really great, like in chapter 11, I don't have time to get into it in the Gita. So Arjuna is really good friends with Krishna. Krishna is his charioteer. He drives the chariot for Arjuna. This whole time, Arjuna is like a numero uno archer. He's like, Krishna, he's like his best friend, right? And then he has his mind blown. He's like, Krishna starts talking to him on the battlefield about like the truth of the Vedas, the truth of this life and jazz. And then Arjuna's like, oh, I can't wait to see you. Show me who you are. And he shows him his, like, Krishna like blows the circuits and throws the, PG&E on cosmic consciousness out, and Arjuna can't handle it. He's like, oh my God, I can't handle that level of rate. Like, bleh. And then out of mercy, Krishna comes back into a form and takes that experience away, and Arjuna is able to see his friend. So having the idea of God as friend is really helpful. You can read chapter 11. I got to give a class on the Gita. God, note to self. I'm doing one of the Upanishads, but that's going to be in Kauai in September. I have to talk to you about that class. And then the end of the Ramayana, Hanuman, who's the monkey king and brilliant hero of the Ramayana, is deeply devoted to Rama as a friend. He's loyal. It's not loyal in the sense of not like whatever, loyal in the sense that so you can't practice real, these words. So there's loyalty with expectations, and then there's just love. That's just the better way to say it. Like, he loved Rama because he knew himself. So before, this is the very end of the Ramayana. Next he summoned Rama. Next he summoned his friend and servant, Hanuman. Wherever the name of Rama is mentioned and wherever the story of Rama is told, you shall be there. The story will be repeated as long as the sun and moon shine. Rama embraced Hanuman affectionately for the last time. And, you know, I do believe, I just had these dear friends here. I think that one of my dear friends, he asked him if he wanted hibiscus tea, and he likes hibiscus iced tea. And he says, well, if you have to go to a lot of trouble, don't. I said, no, I'm here to serve. And I think that's, Hanuman really captures that idea of being a servant and loving our friends. I didn't say slave. I said a servant. How can I be of service? How can I think friendship is a platform more than any other relationship to really cultivate that impersonal love for other people and to learn how to live and let live. So I hold that as an ideal. Okay, I'm taking a day off after this. Woo! This is from Psalms, 34, chapter 13. Keep your tongues from evil and your lips from speaking deceit. That's my advice to friends, if you would like to maintain them and cultivate them so you can grow in real fellowship. All right, I love you so much. May the force be with you. Another day in paradise. I'll keep sending more links to the classes that seems to be of service. Let me know if it helps to see me blab. Do give me an email, revzo@reverendzoeim.com. Okay, have a great Sunday. See you later.